Hey, what's going on everyone? Xavier here, and welcome back to another Make Academy lesson. If you're just joining us, I'm documenting my journey from complete beginner to running my own AI automation agency. I'm following a 3-phase plan to get me there, but it all starts with mastering workflow automation. That's why we're speeding through these lessons. We're right in the middle of the basic section where we just learned about how important bundles are. Today, I'm covering units 1 and 2 of the data types and structures course. We're gonna be going over data types. If you want the full breakdown of my business plan, I'll put that video up there, as well as in the description below. But with that being said, let's jump into today's lessons. All right, let's get into this. So we're here in the basic section, second course, an introduction to data types and data structures. This one only has 4 units, so it'll be a quicker course. It'll probably just be like 2 videos and then, the end of course assessment. But we can do that in like the beginning of the 3rd video, or like the video after this course, and then do the first unit of the next course or something. So yeah, let's get right into this. I'm gonna read this introduction. Welcome to an introduction to data types and data structures within Make Basics, where you will explore the following topics: a brief introduction to data types, advanced data types, how to map data items, and data structures. Again, this is standard, so I'm not going to read this bottom part. So now we can mark this task as complete and get into this first unit, which is a brief introduction to data types. Unit introduction. Welcome to course 2 in Make Basics. In this introductory unit, you will explore the data types in Make. You'll learn about the importance of data types, how to distinguish between different data types, and what are some of the most common examples of each. Click next. What is a data type? As you already know, when you're using Make to automate a task, Make always processes data. Practically all Make modules receive and output data. Each data item has its data type, which defines the kind of data you expect in a specific place. Okay, so we can click these images. How Make uses data types. The main unit of data in Make is a bundle. Every bundle contains several items. You can think of a bundle as a bag containing separate individual items inside it. Each data item has its data type, which defines the kind of data you expect in each specific place, e.g. text, number, date, etc. Make uses data types for each input and output field. A field tells you which type of data it expects, so it guides you to set up your scenario correctly. Understanding data types ensures that the data you collect is always in the right format and that the values are as expected. This is especially important in mapping and data processing. You'll learn more about data types later in this course. An example: imagine you need to fill out a form or a survey. You might need to fill in some personal information, such as your name, date of birth, address, etc. You need to enter your information in a specific format. So your name will be written in the format of text. The date of birth will be a date. If you accidentally enter letters in a numerical field, such as price or phone number, you'll probably get an error because this field accepts only numbers. This is what data types are about. They tell a computer system how to interpret the values. You will explore data types in greater detail over the next few pages. Yeah, so we kind of covered data types a little bit, just like how there's different formats, text, date, and I think there's another one called date time, but I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let me just see what they're gonna tell us in this unit. I'm gonna click next. Basic data types in Make. Here you'll see the most used and common data types. We have text. The text data type stores any kind of text data. It can be as short as names, addresses, or long, such as a whole email body or product description. For example, if you were using an e-commerce platform. Text data contains characters such as letters, numbers, and special characters, like at, exclamation point, and question mark. Some examples include hello world, Alice with a heart, or a phone number. The text data type is also sometimes called a string. Number data type. As you may presume, the number data contains numeric characters. You can have numbers with decimals, such as 10.531, or without decimals. You can use number data types to store information such as age, price, quantity, bank account balances, latitudes, and longitudes. If you do not define your numbers as numbers, they might also be considered as text. This is often fine until you want to do any mathematical operations on the numbers, such as adding them together. The text data type includes numbers because it's any character, right? The type of data that you're using, it depends on what you want to do with that data. So you're not confused with the number and text data types. They both can have numbers in them and there won't be any problems. But if you want to take those numbers and do something with them, like add them together, subtract them, multiply them, like find the mean, find the range, like anything that you had to like manipulate the numbers, you have to use a number data type, or else if you use a text data type, it won't calculate it because it's not seeing those numbers as numbers, it's seeing them as text. Date. A date is a type which is used for dates or date plus time. The format of the date depends on the settings in your profile. It can, for example, look like this, day, month, year, or it'll be like month, day, year, depending on your location, because different countries write their dates differently, right? So yeah, just depending on where you are. You'll probably use the date data type when setting the start and end dates of a project, birthdays, etc. If you fill in a field that requires entering a date, the pop-up calendar will appear in the module settings, as you can see on the image. To make sure you are using the right date format, it's best to use the built-in date picker or the parse date function. Don't worry about the function now, we'll cover it in our next course. And then we have Boolean. Boolean data type is used for items with only two possible values, true or false. You can think of it as an on or off light switch. The light is either on or it's off. There is no other option. You'll often see this as yes or no in Make. As on the image on the left shows, you either choose to watch the subfolders or not to watch them. That one is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna click next. Complex data types. All right, you know the basic data types now. Let's briefly look at something more complex. We use these a lot within Make, and we will expand on these in much greater detail in Unit 3 of this course. So we have a collection. A collection is a complex data type that groups multiple different elements into a single unit. You can think of a collection as a kitchen drawer. You can store different types of items in your kitchen drawers: plates, cups, pans. The kitchen drawer is like a collection, and the items inside represent the different items inside the collection. Technically, a collection is a container that stores a group of different objects, just like our kitchen drawer. You'll learn more about collections later on in this course. So yeah, inside of the output data, you can have collections which have different items, right? And those items are what you can map. And then we have arrays. An array is a complex data type that can contain multiple elements of the same type. An array is also known as a list. For example, if you are planning a party, you might need to create several lists, such as the guest list, music playlist, and grocery list. Every list is a separate array. An array is like a container that keeps similar things together in a single ordered list. With the help of arrays, you can store the names of 100+ people and also search for a specific name on your list. For example, if you plan a party for 100+ guests, you can check if you have any people on the guest list named Paul or Zoe. Arrays will be a very valuable concept in your Make journey, but you'll explore them in detail at the end of this course. If a collection is like a group of items, an array is like a list of groups, right? So you can have multiple different groups filled with items in one array. All right, I can click next. How to recognize a data type. Now you know the data types you'll come across in Make. Recognizing the specific data type you need to use in a specific field is really easy. Simply hover over the name of the field or input, and the tooltip with the data type will show. You can see the data type of input fields, as well as the data types coming from modules before that you have mapped. You want to make sure that these data types match: text in a text field, number in a number field, and so on. Check the image on your left to see it in action. If you have one of your make use cases open, we recommend opening one of the destination modules and identifying a data type used in there. So we can go to our use case. I'm gonna go into just this destination module here, the top Google Sheets add a row. And yeah, if I hover over these items here that we have mapped in our values, if I hover over sunrise, you can see next to sunrise above where it says raw that it has date in those little brackets, because the information in sunrise is formatted in a data type. But if I hover over temperature, you can see that the data type switches to number because the temperature item is formatted in a number data type. Same with status, it's a text data type, and description is also going to be a text data type. I'm going to click next. Why are data types important? The modules used in your scenario will validate the item types that you use. This might include checking that the correct data type is used, length of characters, etc. If an item does not pass the validation, you'll receive a prompt informing you of the error. For example, if you type in text in the number field, the execution of the scenario will terminate with a data error. You can replicate this within Make easily by adding the weather get current weather module, selecting a location by coordinates, and using text in the entry field. Data validation helps to ensure that your data is consistent, accurate, and complete. It also helps you prevent data loss and errors. Yeah, so I guess there's a check that happens every time the data validation to make sure that you're not putting text in number format fields or vice versa. Click next. Validation errors use case. Online order form. Imagine you have a wine shop and want to start selling your products online. If a customer places an order, you'll need to provide some of the following information. Click each option to see how each data type is validated. All right, so we have name. Text data type is usually used for the name field. Misspelling is quite common here. Even though writing something which is grammatically wrong is not a validation error, because the text data type accepts everything, your future customers would probably not be thrilled to see their name as that, as people usually don't have numbers in their names. A common validation error would be exceeding the character limit, e.g., if the text field was set to 20 characters and the name Benjamin Lorenz Gareth Maker was input. This would produce an error after Gareth, right? So text will accept anything, but just make sure you're not trying to put a number, or don't put numbers in the text unless it's just for something that you're not manipulating. Date of birth has to be in a specific format. You cannot put the 29th of February, 1983 in the text. The user would need to choose the date from the calendar or write it in the number format. Also, if you sell wine, it is against the law to sell alcohol to customers under 18. Therefore, the form would validate against the current date if it was before or after 18 years from the current date. Right, so for the date time data type, you can take that number and basically use it to validate someone's age. But if you were to put like the text data type and try to put the date, then you wouldn't be able to like manipulate it and like try to figure out something from that information, like whether that person is old enough, because it's not reading it as a date, it's reading it as a text, you know what I mean? And then we got price limit. You might not want your customers to place an order for less than 10 euros, for example. The validation error would therefore be orders cannot be placed if the number field is less than 10. This information would be set in the number data type. So price limit would be number data type, name would be text data type, date of birth would be date data type. And then we have location. If you have to ship to outside of the EU, and if the customer is in the US, they will have to pay additional costs for shipping. The validation here would be if location is not equal to EU, then notify customer of higher shipping charges. So I believe this would be another text data type. Sorry, this is the Boolean data type because it would just be a yes or no. Oh, actually, I don't know, because it just says if location is not equal to EU. So it wouldn't be yes or no. It could be. You could use this as a yes or no, because if it just said if location is the location in the EU, and you could put yes or no, or I guess you could use a text data type too. Because it's a little confusing because you can do multiple things. Like you can get the same result by doing different things. So yeah, I'd probably just have to play around with that to see what would be the best way to make this validation, right? But it doesn't matter. The point that this is trying to prove is that you're trying to avoid getting errors by making sure you're using the right data type, right? So I'm gonna click next. Cool, and that's the end of the unit. Now we have a better understanding of what is a data type, how to identify the data type of a field, where data types are used, and some common examples of validation. Cool. Yeah, so data types, really important for making sure information goes to the right place and the information isn't being used for like the wrong thing, right? So now we're gonna go on to unit 2, which is advanced data types. I'm gonna click mark this task as complete. All right, welcome to unit 2 in course 2 of Make Basics. Within this unit, you will explore collections and arrays. You will not be building any scenarios in this unit, but will be focusing on these very important concepts. They will help going forward over the next few courses and with your use of Make going forward. By the end of this unit, you will gain an understanding of what a collection and an array is, identify the difference between the two, and know the benefits to using an array. Click next. Overview of collections and arrays. We have covered basic data types in previous units: text, numbers, Boolean, etc. Collections and arrays are considered complex data types. Both of these contain several data types within them, but are structured differently. Before we delve into this in more detail, a brief overview for now. Collection. A collection is an unstructured set of data types. Think of this as a playing card. It has several properties. The 5 of spades. Array. An array stores different data types, such as numbers, Boolean, and strings, in a structured list. Think of this as multiple decks of cards arranged in a pile. Click next. What is a collection? Overview. A collection is a set of properties which describes a specific object. Each of these properties has a value that has a specific data type: text, number, date, Boolean, etc. When multiple properties are combined, you are describing an object. For example, the details of an individual. Objects are the most important factor to remember here. Properties can contain different data types within a collection. They are not limited to a single one. Right, so collections can have multiple data types, and a collection is a set of properties which describe a specific object. Example, let's use the contact details object of a medical record of a patient as an example. A collection may appear as the following: contact as the collection, which contain first name, last name, date of birth, place of birth, phone number, and notes. This set of properties together make up our collection. Yeah, so you can see that the contact collection is our object, which has multiple different data types in it. Text, date, number, all in one collection. You can see here that you can tell it's a collection right next to the actual object. And inside that collection, if you have this little symbol opened, you can see the properties, which in this case would be the name, the date of birth, the place of birth, etc. And the property value would be the data type, what's actually used. Collections of collections. A collection can contain other collections. For example, if we want to expand on the place of birth of a patient, we can add an address collection with all details, street address, city, etc. The patient details collection will then look like this. So we have the collection, and then inside of this collection, there can be another collection that has a different set of values and properties, right? So just remember that collections can have collections inside. Why are these useful? Collections can be used to describe what exactly the object is with as many details as we want. Within Make, collections of data can be easily used in mappings. For example, if you have created the Make Foundation / Make Basics use case, you will have experienced how easy it is to map items from within a collection. Yeah, so you can see this is how you map stuff that's in a collection. You can just click it or you can drag it. Click next. What is an array? To keep it simple, if a collection is an object, then an array is a list of objects. An array contains multiple items. For instance, we can have an array of text and an array of numbers. The items themselves can have any data type, but all array items need to have the same data type. As a very basic example, if you want a list of cities, you can use an array of texts. So it seems arrays need to have the same data types within them, but you can have arrays of different data types. So say you have two arrays and you have text and number data types. You can have the two different arrays with both the text and the number data types, but they have to be separated by data type. So you have to have one array with only text data types and the other one with only number data types. All right, I'm gonna click next. Side by side, collections and arrays. An array can contain more complex objects, such as collections. Let's compare the array and collection side by side using books as the example. Individual book, a collection. If we want data for an individual book, we would have a collection. A book or object has several properties: a title, genre, release date, etc. Here are two separate examples of collections or books with how they display and make. Think of this collection as two books equaling two objects equaling two bundles. So here you see we have the collection and then we have the items inside the collection. Same here, one collection, one set of items, or the object and one set of properties. Okay, now we have an array of books. As stated, an array is a list of items, such as collections. For example, if you want to handle a list of books, you will have the following array. The array is still a list of books, but this time each object is a collection with multiple properties. Think of this array as two books equaling one array equaling one bundle. So if we were to take the two books and have them in collections, it would be two separate bundles, but we can put these two collections in one array and it would only be one bundle. Cool. So I'm gonna click next. What can you do with arrays? Accessing array objects. You can access array items by the array index. This will be covered in greater detail in a later course. For now though, as an overview, each array has its own index. This is a numbered list. The image to the right reflects the index item of each city. For example, 1 is London, 2 is Paris. The most common way to retrieve a specific piece of information from a list is by accessing the index of the object we want to retrieve. For example, in the array for city, if you want to retrieve the second city, you would ask Make to return the following: city with a 2. This will return Paris in this example. The same idea applies to other arrays. For example, using the array of books, asking Make to return book number 1 would return the full collection of the first book. So that's how you would identify which array you want to use, and that's by the index, which are these little numbers here. Click next. What else can you do with arrays? Sorting arrays. With arrays, you are able to sort the data using make, using the sort function. This will be explored in the next course. For example, sorting the city array into an ascending or descending alphabetical order. Ascending will return London, New York, Paris, Shanghai, Toronto, and descending will return Toronto, Shanghai, Paris, New York, London. So you can rearrange it by sorting. Extract a range. You can extract a range of elements within an array. For example, performing an advanced search specifying the cities of index 3 to 4 will return Paris and Shanghai. Advanced searches. Performing an advanced search would allow you to return specific results based on the values of properties of your choice. For example, searching for the genre of sci-fi, which is a property of an object, in the book array would return the Automation Man. Imagine performing this kind of action on an entire library of books. Yeah, so you can also just specify the exact thing that you're trying to find inside of the array, which can contain a collection, and you can extract that data too. In this example, they wanted to find the genre sci-fi. So in this collection, you can see that the genre is sci-fi. So if you wanted to find the name of all the sci-fi books, you can have a search of the genre sci-fi, and it would return not the property of the search, but the result from that, which is the Automation Man. Or you could say the genre is sci-fi and you're looking for the language or something, or the summaries, but that would obviously return more results because there'd be more in the summary versus in the title. Iterate/aggregate. Iterators and aggregators will be covered later on in Make Basics. At this stage, it's important to gain an understanding of what an array is before we delve deeper into manipulating data. To briefly summarize, an iterator allows you to take an array and split this into separate items, allowing you to process them separately one by one. An aggregator will bundle items together in one or several arrays. Yeah, so we kind of covered iterators and aggregators in the last course, but yeah, iterators split things up. I'm trying to come up with like some kind of thing to remember that, because I remember when I was going through the first time that I kind of was getting confused between iterators and aggregators. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, so iterators separate things, aggregators bring things together. Then we have data extraction. This is considered an advanced function and is optional at this stage. This topic will be covered in Make Basics Course 3. When you have an array of collections, you can make advanced data extraction using functions within Make. For instance, if you want to get the summary of the sci-fi genres in an array, you can use a map function. This will return a new array that contains only the summary. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about before when I was trying to get the title of the books. You can do the same thing where you only want the summary, but you're basically searching for the summaries using the genres, not like just give me all the summaries of every book. Like you can just take the summary of a specific genre, of a specific author, of a specific country, like it doesn't matter, but you can like specify it to that specific need, right? There's also a second page here. Why does it return another array and not just the summary text? It's because the map function could return multiple elements if there were more than one sci-fi genre in the array. For example, if you have a list of contacts and you want to return the last name of all contacts that live in New York, there will be more than one contact. And then it's not telling us how to do it. It's just saying that you can either just get the one item or you can get an array of multiple items of the same property. So that's it for this slide. I'm gonna click next. What to remember from this unit? That was a lot of theory, and we recognize that's a lot of information to learn all at once. So let's wrap up this unit with looking at the 3 most important details to remember. A property together with the property value describe a specific object, e.g. name in a text data type, / date of birth and a date data type, or phone number and a number data type. When multiple properties are combined, this forms a collection, such as contact details. The description of a collection is also known as an object. An array is a list of items. Think of this as multiple cities / books. We will start to expand on arrays in the last course of Make Basics. And click next, and that's the end. Yeah, a lot of information in these 2 units. But let's see, now we can identify a collection and an array. We know the difference between the 2, and we have an idea of how you can start to utilize these. Yeah, start to utilize these. Yeah, there's another little mistake there, but you know, like I said, they get the point across. It's just they just have some little mistakes here and there. Someone needs to go back and proofread these courses a little bit, but you know, they're not terrible. You can tell that they put a lot of time into these. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Next video, we're gonna go into the next 2 units, units 3 and 4, which are how to map data items and data structures. So if you're looking forward to that, please stay tuned for the next video. But with that being said, if you guys found any of this stuff interesting, please feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts, or hit that subscribe button. That's gonna be it for me. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.